Howdy folks, for today's video we are doing a quick short video on a new product. It's kind of like a mail call because I picked up something, and it is also a heads up video on a couple other products. So I am super passionate and excited about this one because this one was kind of like a collaboration between me and Al from NOE to come up with this design, as well as three other designs that are currently in a group by status. And if you haven't guessed by now, it is a bullet mold. Surprise, surprise, right? My family's probably getting tired of me talking to all these strangers and stuff. Whoever I start talking to, I start talking to about this cool new bullet mold that I helped design with Al from NOE. And I think that this is probably one of the most innovative and most versatile bullet molds that I've ever seen in my time of casting. And while it could be argued that some of the you could argue that there's some other ones that could be potentially I don't know, close to the same versatility, but not quite the same. So let me show you what I'm talking about. And we'll go to like a tabletop view so I can show you the new bullet mold that I picked up. And just as an FYI and a heads up, NOE has, NOEBulletMolds.com, on their forums, they have started to do group buys again. I think they had put a pause on their group buys for, I think, the last few years. And they've just been focusing on, reproducing or doing more runs of the designs that they already have. But if you guys have any old bullets that you can't find the molds for anymore, or if you have new designs that are in your head that you're like, oh man, I know there'd be at least 10 people who'd want to buy this if we could just get it done, right? If you have these cool ideas, you can go over to the NOEBulletMolds.com forums, and you can put a like a group buy request and talk about like, hey, this is the design I see in my head, and there's either Al or me. I can help draw up the actual bullet that you're talking about using some software, or you guys can do it yourself and then post the drawings. So that's the heads up part, is that they are doing group buys again, and they have three new group buys that you should check out, that I think you should check out. I've signed up for all three because I want to get one of each of those three molds because of how cool they are. And I don't know like if he will keep producing these molds, because they do take a little bit more extra work and machine time. But if you didn't sign up for the group buys and you're too late, he did run a few extras, and so we'll talk about that, and when I talk about this particular mold that I just picked up. But go ahead and check those out and see if it's a a design that you would be interested in, and if you would be that you would want, and you can sign up to get one. Make sure that one is produced for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll focus tabletop on this new mold, and I want to talk about it, and I'll probably talk about it while I'm showing the mold, so then you have something to look at instead of just my face and stuff. So let's go ahead and switch views. Alright, so let's take a look at my new bullet mold. This one is the HTC459-290-FN CI2. And I opted to get this one in a 2-cavity steel. They offered them in 2-cavity steel, 2-cavity aluminum, and 4-cavity aluminum. And normally I'd probably opt for the 4-cavity aluminum if it's a mold that I would want to do a lot of bulk casting, like cast more bullets faster. So, for example, they're doing this series of, multi-weight bullets per caliber in 9mm, 357, and 44 mag. And I'm trying to come up with a good design for the 50 cals. a good nose that would make a good weight, and figure out which weights would be the most common or most useful if we were to pick 4 bullet weights for the 50 cals. For my Smith & Wesson 500, the Desert Eagle, maybe, if it's light enough, and then also the 50 Beowulf 500 SOCOM that I got, so all of those. Anyways, without further ado, this mold is, I opted, like I said, to get it in steel, and that was because, for one reason, I guess, the steel molds, you know, they last forever, you know, as long as you take decent care of them. The aluminum ones also will last a lifetime if you take good care of them, and you have to be a little bit more careful because aluminum, of course, is softer than steel. So I think the name of this is a little deceiving because what it is, you know, the HTC stands for high-tech coating, and that's basically a grooveless mold that requires some type of a coating, whether it's powder coating or high-tech, or, you know, there's a couple other options out there. But they give you the weight next. So you got the diameter. So 459 is the diameter of the bullet, and then the weight is the 290, and then the FN stands for flat nose. So this one, I mean, look at how awesome that thing looks. You know, that beautiful steel two cavity mold. So now the one thing that makes this, like I was talking about earlier, the most versatile mold that I've seen is that this comes with 4 sets of pins, and I would say like hollow base pins, but only one set of pins is the hollow base, and the others are, you know, flat base or plain base. But you can see that they are different lengths or different heights. So the idea behind this mold, it was kind of a little brainchild between Al and me when I was picking up something or over at the NOE shop, and he was working on a 45, like 452 mold, and I think I talked about that one as a very versatile mold. But this one is even more versatile because we took the ideas of that one and then made it even better. So what this can do is this can cast, just with this particular mold, one mold with the same nose design, you can cast 4 different bullet weights. So starting off, if you use these hollow base pins, they look like the hollow point pins, but since the cavities or the bullet is inverted, it is a nose pour, and you have base pins instead of hollow point pins. And now I will say real quick, you know, if you're deciding that you want to use the hollow base pins, then you will want to, at least for me, I like to put a decent coating of smoke on the base pins, so that when you're casting and breaking in the mold, that the bullets don't stick to these. So you want to make sure that, you know, they don't stick. If they start sticking and you start whacking really hard to get them off, then if you do it too hard, then you can actually bend the bullet bases, the hollow base, and make it a little bit more oblong shaped, which, you know, after you run it through the sizer and when it's fired and it expands, you know, it might not be as big of a deal. But you always want to start off with the best bullets you can. So like I said, you can do the hollow base bullets, and these ones with a wheel weight alloy, it was calculated out to be 290 grains. So if you're looking for a hollow based bullet that, say you're wanting to plink with the 4570 or the 458 SOCOM, now I haven't tested this at all yet. I've cast some up with my, well, okay, so we're gonna get honest right here. This is actually my friend's mold that he bought, and I asked if I could borrow it so you guys could see what a new one looks like. And then I also have mine, which is used, and it's funny because this is that color. It has that little, not patina, but it's you know, kind of like the the nice color of when you get a steel mold and you heat it up, heat cycle it, get it up to temperature, then it turns to this color, which looks like brass, but it's not. It's steel. But let's keep looking at the beautiful brand new one. So with these, you can cast a 290 grain hollow base, and since I have used my mold already, you can see this, and you can see that it's pretty deep, the hollow base. And the cool thing about hollow base bullets is, like, you know, supposedly when you fire it, if the base is like undersized, like at all, you know, then it will expand to fill the, you know, to engage the rifling and seal off and, you know, seal off all the gases. And, but yeah. So one thing to note is that, I mean, this one, I don't know if you could tell with the lighting and stuff, but this was a really good cut. When you're doing nose pour casting, you want to make sure that you don't cut the sprue a little too early and put, you know, tear the, what would normally be, you know, tearing of the base. It'll actually tear the nose, you know, leave a little cavity. And while I'm not sure how much that'll affect the accuracy of the bullet, you always want to, like I said before, you want to start out with the best bullets as you can. And so anyways, 290 grain hollow base bullet. And then these were calculated out to be the most common bullet weights for the caliber. And that was kind of the idea behind this bullet mold, is that for someone who's doesn't have a lot of bullet molds already and they're just getting into a new caliber, these series would be like the ideal bullet mold to get, because you could cast 4 different bullet weights, same bullet mold. And so to change the, you know, change the pins, all you got to do is undo this screw, and then the pin will slide out where the screw hole goes, and you can pop it off, and then you put one in and slide it forward, and that's how easy it is to change it. Now, I'm talking like a mile a minute, but so the bullet weights that we picked for the 459, and I mean, this is probably the selfish part of me, is like I was thinking, okay, which ones would I want? And, you know, the hollow base seems like it'd be a cool experimental one to plink with. You know, I don't know how fast you can push it. A lot of guys are like, hey, you can push that really fast because it's lightweight. I don't know. I haven't shot very many hollow base bullets to know. I have heard that, you know, if you push hollow base bullets really hard, then sometimes you'll leave behind the kind of like the skirt part of it, and the rest of the bullet will go forward. So you just want to be careful about that. I guess more than being careful, you just want to experiment for yourself with different alloys and whatnot. But this does have a decent thickness wall for that hollow base, and so I'm not too worried. But I think it'd be fun to do some kind of like plinking loads with the 458 SOCOM as well as a 4570. I just want to talk about the nose design real quick. This nose is the same design from a bullet I designed. It was a 354 grain, and when I was designing one that was a good combo bullet for the 458 SOCOM as well as a 4570. The crimp groove right here is for the 4570. It's not for the 458 SOCOM. So depending on your gun's throat and chamber, you can probably seat it a little bit further, and, you know, depending also on how thick you coat it, right? But this, just so you guys know, this is for the 4570, that crimp groove. And when I was designing the bullet, he cut me a prototype of that 354 like a long time ago, and with trimmed brass, Starline brass, of course, then we were able to, you know, I was able to seat some dummy rounds and or seat some bullets of the test, and I cycled them in my Marlin 1895 Cowboy, my Marlin 1895 SBL, and I've tested it in my Ruger 1895 Marlin, so the Ruglin or whatever you want to call it. But this design was to be a little bit longer nose instead of the short stubbier ones. so that it could have a higher BC for the 458 SOCOM, and it feeds really well in the 458 SOCOM. And the 4570, it actually cycles really well too in the ones that I have tested. So now that is that one. So the lightest bullet is 290 grains. Then the next one is 350 grains. And one thing that's crazy is like it's funny to see like perfect bullet bases, you know, no sprue on it. I mean, obviously the sprue cut is on the top with the nose, but it just, when I first saw that, I was like, wow, that looks amazing. So anyways, the 290 grains, then if you swap it with the next set of pins, then that will cast a 350 grain bullet. And I figured that, you know, about a 300, a 350 would be good, and then a 405. But a 405 grain, that is not that short, stubby bullet. And so I really like this design, and the idea behind the 405 is that then you can use all that common 405 grain standard load data for, you know, obviously you want to tune it to the, you know, your load, your gun, your bullet, but, you know, having a standard weight 405 with a nicer nose, that seems just like, I don't know, perfect. So the 405, and then, you know, that's with these medium-sized pins, and then with these short pins, you know, that would go in like, you know, like that. Then it casts a bigger bullet, and these are the 500 grain bullets, and that's for people who really want to kill dinosaurs, or I don't know, dinosaurs probably. When you need a really big bullet, then the 500 grain, you could use this. And the cool thing about this is that, like I said, it'll work well in the 458 SOCOM as you know, for subsonics, and you know, and the 4570, if you're wanting to have, you can 4570, you could use all of these in subsonic, you know, and with all the cool new threaded 4570s, you know, it just makes for a lot of fun. This one in particular would be a great one for, you know, assuming that it works great, and, you know, kind of like a unique or trail boss load, or maybe even like a red dot load or something, one of the faster pistol powders, and to, you know, have your powder burn in the first couple inches of the barrel, you know, then you can make some really quiet lead saving plinking loads. And the cool thing about it is, like, you know, 290 grains, you still get a larger nose and stuff. So yeah, anyways, like I said, I am super excited about this one. And as you can tell, I have used mine and done some casting, and this actually is my buddy's that I picked it up for him because he was out of town, and I told him, hey, you got to buy this. It just hit the shop, so you got to make sure you get one. But yeah, so we'll look at the one that I've been casting with. And, you know, it's not going to look pretty inside because it's actually broken in nice and good. So you can see, you know, I've got a little bit of smoke in there, but I have like the short pin for the 500, and then I think it was the 350, the taller pin for the 350, because I was casting before and I wanted to make some of each, and so I ended up casting a ton of these two, the hollow base 290 as well as the 405 grain, and because I wanted to play around with these the most. And I already have, you know, that 354, so it's pretty similar to this 350. And the 500, I have one that's already, I think I got a 500 grain mold that's this similar, same design. So I just wanted to cast a couple of it with this, so you can see that they were all cast with the same mold. But yeah, anyways, there you have it. This is the bullet mold that I am super excited about. The other thing too about using this bullet mold, it's super exciting, is that because all of the different bullet weights have the same nose, you don't have to adjust your seating and crimping dies. So you should be able to use the same die setup and it'll just seat it a little bit deeper. Well, not seat it deeper. More of the bullet will get seated in the case. But yeah, no adjusting at all. You just use the same dies, and you may want to powder coat or coat your different bullet weights different colors so that you can, when you look at the loads, that you can tell, oh, that one's the 500 grain, or that one's the 405, or that's the 350, or that's the 290. But yeah, color code them, maybe not, maybe just label your ammo better, I don't know. But that's it. That is the bullet mold that I am super excited for. All right, so I hope you guys are as excited, or maybe even half as excited as I am about this new bullet mold and these new bullet mold series that are, in group by status right now. But, to have a bullet mold that can cast 4 different bullet weights using the same nose, using this, without adjusting your dies, your seating die and crimping die and stuff, that you could have, to me, it's like crazy cool that you could, one mold, 4 different bullet weights, and those 4 bullet weights are the most common bullet weights for that caliber. So that's, I don't know, super exciting, but I hope you're excited too. Go ahead and check those out at NOEBulletMolds.com, and as always, you can use my coupon code. I think it saves like 10% or something, but it's FLT001, and go ahead and check out. They make cool extra reloading tools and products, as well as casting tools and products and stuff. So anyways, yeah, so take care, stay safe, and hopefully your weather is better than mine. As you can see, all this crappy snow. But yeah, until next time, stay safe, have fun, and catch you in the next video.